Breaking tonight, Germany is reeling in the aftermath of mass attacks targeting young women on New Year's Eve. More and more victims are now stepping forward, describing harrowing accounts of assault and even rape. The worst of it happened in the city of Cologne, as we told you last night. But now there are reports of similar attacks in major cities all across Germany. Some of the perpetrators are being described as Arab or African men. At least some of them are believed to be refugees from Syria, in what the New York Times called an unprecedented series of coordinated attacks. Trace Gallagher reports from our West Coast newsroom. Trace?
Megan, German officials have said there is no hard evidence that Syrian refugees seeking asylum were involved in the violence, but that is strongly disputed by a leaked police report published in the German newspaper Der Spiegel. The report says one of the suspects told police, quoting here, "I'm Syrian. You have to treat me kindly. Mrs. Merkel invited me." The paper says another tore up his residence permit in front of police, saying, "You can't do anything to me. I can get a new one tomorrow." And there are reports police briefly held 15 asylum seekers in connection with the attacks. It's unclear why they were released, but police claim at the time they were overwhelmed. Witnesses described the scene at Cologne's main train station as a gauntlet, saying dozens of women had to run through masses of intoxicated men. Listen.
They felt like they were in power and that they could do anything with the women who were out in the street partying. They touched us everywhere. It was truly terrible.
So far, more than 150 women have filed criminal complaints, but much of this information didn't come out for nearly 5 days, leading many to accuse police of trying to cover up the attack to preserve public support for the country's pro-refugee policies. Others believe anti-immigrant groups are using the attacks to stir up hatred against refugees. But today, a German justice minister said if it's proven that asylum seekers were involved in the violence, they would face deportation. Germany continues to be Europe's most welcoming country for refugees, but public perception is quickly changing. Megan.
Trace, thank you. Joining me now, Soren Kern, a distinguished senior fellow at the Gatestone Institute, which is an international policy group and think tank. Soren is a dual German and U.S. citizen who lives in Europe. Soren, thank you so much for being here. So I am hearing people today say things as dramatic as Europe is lost. I mean, suggesting the culture there is being forced to conform to the refugees and large groups of Muslims who have no desire to assimilate. Your thoughts?
Yeah, well, this process has been going on for many years, but it's really been fast-tracked over the last 6 months with this massive migration of more than 1 million people coming into Germany, mostly from Muslim countries. Approximately 80% of the migrants that came into Germany are Muslim. And these groups are very, very difficult to assimilate. A lot of these younger people who are coming into the country are not employable. They are essentially shiftless, and many of them are getting involved in petty crime. And essentially, the German government has completely lost control of the security situation in the country, as we've seen.
I mean, do you feel, you look at this, is Germany over as we know it? Is Europe?
Well, the Europe that we've come to know and that we've come to love is certainly over. Germany will never be the same. It's just impossible to integrate these people. And there's already a very big problem in many European countries, including Germany, of parallel societies, essentially where large groups of Muslim immigrants that are not integratable into the host society essentially set up their parallel societies, including with Sharia courts, the application of Sharia law. This is just going to continue, and it's going to basically be fast-tracked from here on out.
It's one of those, when you report on it, it's a strange thing to just say it was large groups of Arab men, because it sounds like you're condemning all Arab men. But what's happening in Germany right now is they're steering as clear of mentioning anything about Muslims as possible. And it happens to be relevant in identifying the particular perpetrators here who are dancing on their refugee status, bragging about how Mrs. Merkel invited me here, and now you're stuck with me.
Yes, this has been going on for a long time. The German government essentially believes that 50% of the migrants that have come into the country, they have no idea now where they are. And so this is a problem that's just going to spiral from here on out.
Unbelievable. Now they're chastising people for saying anything that may be anti-migrant. Meanwhile, these people are scared. I mean, women were assaulted by 1,000 men in Cologne alone. Soren, thank you.
Yes.
We'll stay on it.
My pleasure.